Hello and welcome to Magic in Mind in conversation with. And today I am in conversation with the fabulous Suzanne Slade. We're going to be talking about our birth runes spirit guides. And I'm really excited to be having this conversation because it remains the case that on my website, which has been in existence now for 14 years, birth runes is the most frequently searched term that people come, they sort of, other than maybe runes itself. There are thousands of people a month visit my website and they're curious about the birth runes. And slowly but surely, more and more people are coming on and saying, "Oh, I want to know more about this." And it felt like the right time to do this piece to talk about this because I don't know anybody if you've watched there's a YouTube video. I think it's called The Lone Nutter. And it's this wonderful man, he's dancing. It's like, yeah, it's all brilliant, it's wonderful. And it's all about leadership. And it basically says that someone can have a brilliant idea. I like to think the birth runes are a brilliant idea. And they weren't originally mine, just to be really clear. Like the idea of birth runes maybe is something that I've pursued more, but runic astrology has been around before that. But I was certainly a lone nutter for quite a long period of time, dancing my little dance with my birth runes and absolutely adoring it. But Suzanne, you were really the first person to come in and say, I want to work with you on the runes. And then, yes, I want to work with you on the birth runes and to go, really, really deep with the birth runes. And once you've got two people, then you've got a movement. You've got a movement. And yeah, so we've been working together for a number of years now with the birth runes. You still are in my birth runes soul journey group where we explore every month some aspect of the birth runes. So we are going to talk about the birth runes and loosely around this idea of the birth runes as spirit guides. I have to say it's interesting for me because when I started with runic astrology, I didn't really believe in astrology. I was sort of compelled by it a little bit with the Western astrology, with zodiac. I was interested in it. And then I started to work with the runic astrology. I was like, no, it's not a thing. No. But I couldn't stop. I literally couldn't stop. And I was already working with the runes as spirit guides at that point, but it wasn't until I met my birth runes that I went, wow, these are my actual personal spirit family who are there guiding me on my path at this point, and they've always been that way. And to a certain extent, the practice of runic astrology keeps me on my edge because I can't go and find a book, a ye-old ancient tome that says, here is the ye olde practice of runic astrology. You will follow these ABCD and then it will come. There isn't, that's not there. And part of me feels more comfortable when there is something there that I can go, oh yes, we can go back. When I talk about the runes and I talk about the Kenninghorn and going back to the poems and going back to the old source texts and checking. Birth runes, we can't really do that, let's be honest. We can't do that. We know that there was some form of reading of the stars, astrological system. We've got the legend of Helgi, etc., which we'll I talk about elsewhere. But it is to me, it's a prayer. It's a prayer to the stars, a prayer to the northern tradition, and they keep coming. So that's my take on it. But I would love to know your take on this. So specifically, anything you've got to say about that spirit guidance bit, but also about the lack of historical sources for birth runes specifically. How have you made your peace with that, oh great astrologer who knew a lot about astrology before?
Oh, to me, Maggie, it's such an amazing boon to not have all that historical stuff. I know it's what gives foundations to things, but it often nowadays can be such a tie because we get locked up in all of that. Oh well, it's everything is done specifically, and it doesn't give you breathing room. It doesn't give you freedom to look at something with 2024 eyes. I'm in 2024 and I've got 2024 energies and the things that are going on out in the world and around me, and how I have to live my life now. And And runic astrology has been amazing for that, because I can walk with this energy from where I am. I don't have to look behind me. I don't have to look forward. Other than if you're looking at your north node and your south node, and they are very, very good guides. But I find it really conducive to be able to look at something fresh. I know there's a line going back, because we're working with the runes. So there's already a historical part. We know astrology has been, worldwide. There are millions of types of astrology. We just talk about Western astrology and Vedic astrology, but oh my goodness, there's so many different types of astrology.
Yes.
Every single person on the planet has looked to the stars at some point in the planet. So there is history there, but not so much information that we can walk with each rune and our own runes as the guides, and do more with it, because we're not constrained, is my opinion.
Yeah. So there's a freedom there, like you said,
big,
perhaps.
yeah, freedom.
Yeah, there is perhaps a sense of when a system has been created for a particular time, it's difficult to then evolve it, because you can feel as if you're being disrespectful.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah, to what was in place. Absolutely, and for good reason.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it gives you freedom to be how you are with all your other practices. I mean, my Kabbalah and the rune.
Oh, don't.
My Kabbalah.
You didn't tell me you were going to bring that on.
I forgot I had that there, actually.
Oh, you're so funny. There's if anyone knows that if they want to like cause me to sort of like visibly shrink, they just have to say the word Runbala, and I'm like, oh. But nonetheless,
but it's true, isn't it? We have layers and layers of old, ancient, wonderful practices, and we can layer things as long as we do it respectfully. And there's no such thing as Runbala. There's no such thing as crystal Reiki, but someone decided that they would use their crystals with Reiki and make crystal Reiki, dragon Reiki. So there's lots of things like that.
Absolutely. There's one caveat I want to put on that, because I do think it's important. And I absolutely not. Although I jest, you are not the first person who's come to me and said, I can see correlations between the Kabbalistic system and the paths and the runes and obviously the planets. And at the end of the day, we're all living on the same planet with planets above us. We're experiencing energies, maybe localized, well, not maybe, definitely localized to where we are in that point in our own cultural heritage. So it would be surprising if we couldn't find synergies between well-established energetic and spiritual systems, because they're well established and they're based in a shared reality. The reason that I go slightly is because appropriation does exist, and there are a proportion of people who claim that the origins of Kabbalah are based in Northern Europe, which is simply not true. No, it is simply not true. And it is trying to appropriate from the Jewish history, and that's deeply
that's not.
I know you're not saying that, but I think it's important.
No.
That's why my teeth are. But at the same time, it would be surprising if we couldn't find those correlations between systems.
Everyone that does any type of magical practice will be able to move something on in a way. So with there's no such thing as the Western Kabbalah, but that's how it's seen. That's just used as a magical practice because it's a tool that is so enriching and spiritually can take you to such amazing places.
Yeah.
I don't study the Kabbalah, but what I have done is put my birth runes on the tree. So I've put them where the planets are. So I'm not
Yeah.
doing any Kabbalah work, but it makes sense that you can then go deeper into stuff. So we can use all that. I mean, there wouldn't be anything in the world, would there? There wouldn't be any Reiki people in the West because it's Japanese
Yes, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
Buddhist, you know. So we wouldn't be doing any chakra work because that's Indian. So, you know,
It's
yeah,
a navigating a territory that's very challenging,
yeah.
of saying
And I think,
we want to share the richness of our heritage. And at the moment, like certainly me and, you know, most of the people that I know and work with, I talk about the idea of the woven soul, that, you know,
yeah,
I don't come from a one, you know, like a mono tradition that and my family have lived in the same place for, you know, that's actually very rare and to be cherished.
yeah,
But it's being able to sort of navigate that territory and say, I'm multi-heritage.
yeah.
I was born multi-heritage. To pretend that I'm
Also,
not
that
would be
makes it
weird.
more beautiful, doesn't it? Because
Mm,
I mean, all of us want, I think most of us want a peaceful, loving, wonderful world where we're all connected and all respected and all cherished, and to be able to use things that other people know are powerful and can be used to help each soul is a wonderful thing.
yes.
And that's what birth rooms have done for me. They've helped me go deeper into my soul and to, you know, look at how I am unconditioned. I mean, I'm still conditioned, but the whole point to me of astrology is to go in and find your true essence.
Mm, yeah.
And, you know, and
Yeah.
that's got to be a good thing.
I'm going to ask you in a minute, because, you know, I know that you've worked in the Western astrological system as well and worked very strongly with planetary energies in particular. I want to ask you a little bit about the difference between the two. But I'd love for the people who are sharing this with us to get a sense of, when you talk about, you know, working with a rune as a spirit guide and having that sort of relationship with the rune, what does that feel like?
Oh, it feels like having, well, it's firstly, it feels like having a way deeper into my soul. And secondly, it feels like I have a friend gently taking me, but also not hiding anything from me. So,
Mm,
you know, because that we all have the darker, shadowy aspects and the things that, you know, we've taken on from society that isn't truly part of who we are. And we get lost with that because we think it's us. This is me. You know, I was brought up in this way, and then you get older and you look and you think, I don't really believe that. That's not actually really part of me. You get lost. You've got a guide that is a friend and a mentor and a can hold your hand and but will show you the depths, you know.
mm,
We'll show you wrong, show you those aspects of yourself, you know.
yeah. I wonder, as you're speaking, I know that you have a really powerful relationship with Isa, which is your lunar rune, isn't it? And, you know, I remember your face when you were just like, when you started working with the Isa rune. And one of the things that can often be difficult to explain to people is that runes aren't necessarily like benevolent forces of light, you know, in the way that we'll often talk about, you know, I'm like transcending, I'm moving into light, I'm like beaming love everywhere. Not that those things aren't beautiful, but runes aren't just that. They can be there, but they aren't that. And then people can feel a bit like, oh, no, there's the shadow there. Does that mean they're bad? You know, they look all spiky with their
Yeah,
shapes. You've got the urus
yeah,
rune there. You know, they're sharp, etc., etc. When I think about what the runes tend to represent, these sort of very natural forces, we can't say like ice is a force for good
no,
or a force for evil. It is ice, and in some conditions, it will be, you know, awe-inspiringly, magnificently beautiful and peaceful, and you can listen to ice and it makes your
Oh,
soul grow, and and it can be really, really freezing and you're going to die. Yeah,
yeah.
it can be both of those things, but that doesn't, it's not bad or good. And I think, I wonder if maybe that's part of the power of the relationship we can have with our runes, is that they're part of the natural world, and they remind us that we are part of the natural world, and that we are also primal forces, born from the
Yeah.
stars, forged from the elements. Does that
Yeah.
feel
Yeah, I think,
good?
and the primal thing I love because, funnily enough, I watched a really good video yesterday of a witch, and she she sat down to write loads of words that filled up her practice that were there, and she ended up with just 3 words, and she was really stumped by it. And the first word was primal, and that was when she stopped in her tracks, because she was like, I'm primal. My witchcraft is primal. It's primal. And
Mm,
and it took me to the runes actually while she was saying it, because they they are just what they are. That you know that and they that's the purity. Now we are just as we are, but but and there's a huge big but we get conditioned. We have baggage, we have stuff that's happened to us, so we we don't lose that purity, but it's covered up. See, the runes for me take us into that purity,
mm,
into that primal, back to the truth.
yeah, I really like that. And it does remind me of one of the reasons that I work with the elder Futhark, because I do love the younger Futharks as well. Is if we think about again about the Issa rune, and then in the latest like rune row, the almond rune row, they connected ice to I, the idea of
Yeah,
the ego, the sort of Freudian idea of the ego, which shows how the runes can sort of evolve with us,
yeah,
because it is, the letter I is the Issa rune, and our language has evolved with it. But it also allows us to sort of track back. And the elder Futhark takes us all the way back to that the deep primal meaning, so that we can say, yeah, I can peel away the layers of language and the stories and the limiting beliefs and the narratives and all of those things back into the primal energy of Issa. So it's still there, but then I can grow from that back out again.
yeah,
That
yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, that's certainly what I feel with the runes, and particularly with the elder Futhark. The younger ones I love as well, but it's one of the reasons, not the only reason, it's one of the reasons I work with the elder Futhark. Mm. So there's these sort of ancient primal forces that have evolved with us through our language and are present with us through our land.
Also, they've shown, I mean, obviously we weren't, or maybe we were reincarnated, maybe we were working with them back in the day,
Maybe,
but
yeah.
if we just take now, um we have all those facets of each rune, so we can look into the physical with each rune, we can look into the spiritual with each rune, the psychological with each rune, the emotional part of a rune. So we have a massive resource in
Mm,
each rune, and then when you put that with it being your birth runes, then those runes in your chart give you a map, a compass, a guide
yeah.
to be able to navigate each part of you, you know, every single facet of that. So, I can look at the psychology of Issa within me and without, it, and then I can look at the physical side, and then, there's such depth with
Mm,
whereas Western astrology. I like Western astrology. I started with Western astrology. I never wanted to learn it. It is too heady. I like using my mind. That is one of my favorite things to do, but it's so analytical, and there's just so many parts to Western astrology. And most of us just know these very basic bits, like my sun rune is Leo. And when I read the checklist of Leo, makes no sense to me whatsoever, because I need to know all those other bits. I need to
Mm.
know where this planet was and that, and how that affects my Leo. And no. Whereas when we go into the runes, we still have all those connections, but it's much easier. I can just focus on my sun rune is Uru's. There's no connotations with it. There's no like Leo's are proud, maybe. Leo's are generous. I'll always take that one. Loyal, I quite like that one. Some of the other ones aren't as nice. I don't want to take them. but it
Oh,
but with the runes, it's an easier way to go in there.
yeah, I
So
can feel
deep,
that.
so
And it
much
does feel
deep.
to me, I think about when I connected with Taurus, because I'm a Taurus, and I was like, yeah, I like chocolate, and I like being comfortable, and I can be really stubborn, and like, all of those things. And I read it, and I was like, oh no, that makes sense. And then I was like, rising sign Virgo, I was like, I'm feeling a bit boring now. Oh God, with the combination started to make me feel a little.
Yeah,
And I was really pleased, and I found that I had an Aries moon, because I was like, oh yay, there's something that's a little bit more feisty. And I was sort of looking for myself in the system, and it is quite a heady system, isn't it? Whereas I feel as if with the runes that you're right, that they don't necessarily say, I give you pointers, but it's
yeah,
more because they're guides. It's saying, look, following this path of, for me, Lagus, bringing water and the essence of water and the mysteries of water into my life makes me happy, and makes me feel whole and content and resonant and vibrant. There's a healing, I think, that they offer you. If you think about healing being part of wholeness.
there is massive healing. You've just given me something in that, because yeah, that is one of the major things that I found, was that it healed me. When you did my chart, I've still got lots to do, but that first moment of that chart was healing, my first moment. And I had the most amazing Western astrology teacher. Well, she didn't teach me, but she was an unbelievable lady. And it was fascinating when she did my chart. Was it healing? Perhaps a couple of little tiny bits, but not really. It was fascinating. Worth every penny, and I loved it. But the runes gave me a healing and a way to go forward more,
Yeah.
for me personally.
Yeah. And I think that's very true. And it's an important point that you raised, actually, when you're saying how you can go deep with one rune. So you could say, I'm going to work with my sun rune, and I'm going to go on a healing journey with my sun rune, and I don't need to worry about what the other runes are at this point. Or you can have your birth runes calculated, and you can work with them as a web. And I think about the Disir and the Nornir assembling and singing in the birth runes when the baby is born. And we do that in birth rune soul journeys. I do
Yeah,
meditation, and we feel that. And it is it's a different form of healing. They're both soul healing, but they're healing like different parts. And that does feel different. And like maybe that's why we need to follow this system and pursue this system and work with the birth runes now. Perhaps we need that healing. Perhaps that's part of the
yeah,
journey. It is one of the things that niggles at me. I'm a bit like, well, we've got Western astrology, we've got Vedic astrology. I want to say, like, so many
yeah,
different systems, as you said.
which is fine.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But I always ask the question, so why do we need another one? Why do we need another one? You know, do we really need that? I could just go and do, but I haven't found anything that works in the same way. What's your take on it? Why is it important that there's a Northern tradition astrological path right now?
Well, I think it would be rather silly to not have it, in the respect that the runes are re-emerging into the world. You know, that the northern gods are re-emerging. Odin is really stepping forward. A lot of people, I speak to a lot of people, and I say I'm doing this work with you, and they say, oh, I've had Odin recently. Oh, I it
Yeah.
so I think we need the birth runes part to give us a wholeness, to bring it all together, because they do bring a way for each person to go on a deep soul journey. You can go on a journey with learning the runes, but they're amazing. And if you didn't ever want to do your birth runes, you'd be mad not to. But if you didn't, you can still work with them and go deep. But this is a way for us, using the Northern tradition, to really go into
Mm.
the healing and the shadow work and the depths, and to connect in more deeply. Because I think a lot of the Northern tradition, a lot of even working with the gods in the Northern tradition, is very earthy. I
Yeah.
think of Odin, and I mean, my goodness, he does so many different wandering off and this and that, but I still think of him as quite an earthly god in some way. This gives us the outer as well, that
You're right.
brings the
Yeah.
planets and all of that together,
Yes, that
we
marriage
need
of earth and sky, isn't it?
that.
That's needed. And talking about the gods, I think that's a useful point, isn't it? Because you could absolutely you could say, which runes do I need to work with this month? You could do a little reading, you could do one rune, you could do three, you could do nine, however many you wanted. And then you could go and do your deep um dancing with them, singing with
Yeah,
them, drawing them on your hands. I've got those in my birth runes in my hands at the moment. All sorts of things that you could do to access their healing and their wisdom. And you can do that with your birth runes in the by working with runic astrology and the birth runes. You also get your the planet, so the planetary energy that then combines, and obviously we work with them as chariots, so the idea is of Odin's chariot. So you get this, your Odin's rune has a very specific nuance attached to it, because it's the realm of Odin, and his many facets come into play as well, which is part of the personal journey, isn't it? That you've got the resonance of the rune, and then you've got the resonance of Odin. You've got the halls, which you will know. I stepped away from working with the halls because they're aligned to the zodiac, and I stepped away for a
yeah,
long period of time because I was a bit like, oh, I'm finding it difficult to make the transition from one system into another. But I went back into it once I was like, oh yeah, I'm rooted in my birth runes now, and I use them. And you've got the hearths, which is a part of the system that Frigg gifted to me. Essentially, she was like, we've got all of these masculine energies going on here. What about the hearths? So we've got her AC and Uranus there as well, all of whom can offer initiatory journeys with your rune that are very specific to you. So if your first thread rune, your earth rune or rising sign rune, if you want to say it, the goddess Sun is always the patron of that, and she can provide this initiatory experience. So you've got the primal runic force, ice, but then you've got a sort of consciousness, like a tutelary force maybe, that you can work with, that will guide you in a way that is unique to you.
exactly. Yeah, you look at, if I want to go on a journey with Leo, it doesn't even feel right. It's almost like Western astrology is down on paper. You see this beautiful chart, and it is beautiful, And unless you want to learn all those lines and conjunctions and trines and
Mm.
you know, you don't, it's weird. Western astrology is extremely deep. There's so many facets to it, so many parts to it. Runic astrology is simpler, but it's way, way deeper.
Mm.
Unless you want to truly study, I suppose, Western astrology, they must, get tons from really
Yes.
deeply going into it. But runic astrology gives all of us a easier gateway into our soul truth and being.
Mm.
It's We can go extremely deep. We can go into all the deep dark corners, the shadow work, but it doesn't directly take you into that. That's up to you. You're still in charge and you decide how far you want to go. So you're in charge. The runes aren't in charge. So you keep that, not all of us want to go that deep.
No.
And
And it's not
we don't see the
appropriate for some
point.
people. There are reasons
No,
why our subconscious holds back some things
yeah.
that our souls are not it's
But
not
there's
for this
layers.
lifetime or this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have your chart done in runic astrology, you have a very easy map, a very easy gateway to walk into, and you decide, and you can go into all of those layers, as deeply as you want, when you want, how you want. But all the signposts are all there, that you're guided because the runes are these guides. They and they know how far you are,
Mm.
where you are. They're not going to take you somewhere deep really unless you're open for that. So you're also quite protected as well. I think there's a
Yeah, I think
protection
that you're
there.
right. I think that you're right. The Junes, the runes in some way they're agendaless, other than the moving forward of the flow of weird, like of fate and of destiny, which you can read the big fate. You can say, okay, what are the Nornir going to say is happening right now? And I can do a reading and it can point me in a particular direction. I still get to choose whether or not I go in that direction. Or you can say to the runes, I want to take a journey into my sun rune for healing. I want to grow in my confidence and my understanding of like, who I am. And then they'll take that, the intention that you've set, as the guide. Is my belief. Yeah.
See, we're gonna learn more as we go with this journey because it is newer, and that's
Mm.
absolutely fine. Um, but it is interesting. I've done tons of shadow work. I was doing shadow work when I was 5. Didn't know I was doing it, but I was doing it. Um,
Doesn't
and then
surprise me.
I learned different ways, and I learned Reiki, and I did a lot of deep work with Reiki. And I've done lots of other things. I always wanted to know more about me, like not Suzanne, but me, like the real I am. It's been an absolute yearning in my soul to just keep going and find out more and clear the conditioning and go further. So I've done a lot of work. 4 years ago, I did birth runes. I have learnt more in 4 years than I have done in 25 before that. How's that possible? I don't know. I honestly don't know how it's worked. Um, but it has,
They were
which is
waiting for you.
they were
Mm.
waiting for you.
Yeah. It's like, come on, Maggie, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing having all these children and things? Yeah, there's such powerful initiators, such powerful healing forces. And maybe because you touched on this at the beginning, you were talking about the way in which Western astrology can be quite like mind based. But a person could learn what their birth runes are and simply sing them,
Yeah,
or create a piece of art with them,
which is what I do.
which is what you do, to invoke their energies into their life without needing to know, okay, so this is Ingu's and it's got two particular shapes, and this is the rune poem associated with it, and this is the how, like, linguistically it attaches to Frey and the mysteries of Frey, you know, with Ingrid Frey, and there are a tribe called the Ingavones, which people might think is related one way or the other, and so it could be a genetic thing or a land. You don't need to know any
No,
of that in order to receive healing and transformation from the rune. You might choose to start that process and to connect with the rune through story. You know, I like to connect with them through story. It's one of my ways in, and through voice. But there's so many different ways that you can connect with them. And so it's a multi-layered journey. And when you said, I don't know how it happened so fast, I think that's partially, obviously you had the commitment to say, I'm going to make art, I'm going to work with my voice, I'm going to learn the runes and like go really deep with it. But you don't have to do it in one way.
no, and also I don't know whether a lot of it was actually conscious. I think some of it was unconscious. So I would just get an urge. Yesterday, I had, or the day before, I had an urge to paint a pebble and to draw my first three runes. So not four. So the hero makers, I normally always put my four hero makers together. And it was like, no, no, you don't need to put your Nornir's gift. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just did Makina's first thread, Uru's sun rune, and Isa my moon rune, just on this pebble. And oh my God, it did something. I don't know what it did. I've no clue. I don't know why I needed to do it. Don't know. Just got the urge. But the other thing I found fascinating was I always wanted my chart done for years, and I had that, and then I wanted to know my Celtic birth animal sign and tree and all of that. So I know I made Chinese astrology, had to know that.
Yeah.
Love that. But none of knowing them did anything. Now, I was born, my first thread was Kenaz. I never knew that till 4 years ago. And it's like when you have your chart done, it becomes alive. Because I knew nothing about runic astrology and I didn't know my chart, but I had my chart done. Now, Kenaz has always been with me, even though I didn't know it. It's always been there. But I almost dismissed Kenaz a lot of the time. And as soon as I knew it was my first thread rune, it's like the tapestry lights up. It's like, whoa, she's here. Oh, now yeah. And it's like, I don't know, it's like the Nornina just go ying, ding.
Ting.
So
And
there's
there you
that
are,
that's
the creatrix
interesting.
extraordinaire.
It's very strange how that works, because I've always, obviously, had that. I've always been Uru's, but I didn't know it. But as soon as I knew it,
Just like, yeah.
whereas knowing I was a Leo was okay, and people like to know you about, oh yeah, well, I'm a Virgo, oh yeah, I'm a Leo. People like to know that, but knowing it doesn't initiate them. It's almost like once you know your birth runes, you become initiated, or you're pushed through the Dargos doorway into a next phase.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting. Can't explain it. Don't know whether you can.
Well, my little analytical brain would say, obviously, the birth runes are always there, and it's simply a question that you bring it into your conscious mind. And so
Conscious,
suddenly
yeah,
they're illuminating a layer of you that before
yeah,
didn't do them, but part of you did. That's my
yeah.
gut instinct on that front. But yeah, we recognize that we've already been on a journey with them. It's just now we get to listen more and play with them more and journey with them more. And sometimes we might journey with one of our birth runes for a long period of time. I mean, sort of, which is where that spirit guidance comes in. We might say, I'm working with like Airwares right now. I've got Airwares twice in my chart, so I do a lot of work with Airwares. Bacano, years, and long
Oh,
before I knew that it was my
Bacano,
North
don't.
Node. I was like,
Bacano's my
oh,
Loki's chariot, and that's a
yeah.
Saturday. And I just every Saturday I think, yeah, I don't get you, Bacano.
It's a deeply mysterious rune.
I've still got to do loads of work, and to put it with Loki is like, really?
Why have you done that? Oh, but it's we then feel, I feel we do feel this sort of, I want to know more and I want to journey with them more. And that's why to me they are, primarily spirit guides at a time when I think we need it, particularly like people who are born into the Western world, born into sort of Anglo-Saxon speaking world or German speaking world, Scandinavian speaking, where we might have been like quite disconnected from our earth-based spirituality for a long period of time. I think that they have come in to say, it's time for you to find the healing that's in here. We've been looking for healing out there and it's been plentiful and we are massively grateful for it. Bearing in mind that, a lot of us are at some point going to be descended from somebody who did not treat other members of our human community
No.
nicely at all, which we carry as well. Yeah, it's time to find that healing journey that we need to take, that comes from our roots, even if our branches are totally different right now, so
Yeah.
reclaiming those roots. Is there
There's a
anything
lot.
is there anything you'd like to add before we complete? Anyone who's thinking about birth runes, runing astrology?
I For me, I mean, I get ever so excited when we do our monthly get together. The excitement never ever goes for me with the birth runes. I mean, the excitement with the runes doesn't go, but there is a difference. Doing your birth, I wish I had the words and the way to describe it. It was like when you said like about them being spirit guides. When I think of Isa, oh my god, I just feel this person almost next to me, just the love. Oh my god, the
Mm.
love the runes give you. There's a thing in the spiritual world sort of set. When people say, oh, I feel alone, and you get told, well, you're never alone in the universe, you shouldn't feel alone. And we're human, we do. But the runes, like, you've got these 24 friends, but then when you look at your, okay, yeah, okay, the runes are 24 friends. Your birth runes are your family
Oh,
in a good way.
your good family.
Yeah, not
Even
soul
if there's
family,
sometimes,
soul family. Let's say soul
I'll now
family.
take you on this soul journey, but I'll do it in a family way,
Yeah,
like
no, that's soul
grandmother
family.
energy. Or yeah, I can feel
Yeah,
it. I love
yeah.
that. What
Like the
beautiful
Desir
way.
circle. It's that,
Yes.
isn't it?
And
It's
they
that.
are gifted to us, aren't they? You
Yeah,
think about the myth and the myth of Helgi. I think about the
yeah.
Nornir, Disir being around the birthing mother and welcoming us in. And
I
I
think
do
if
feel
you
as if
want to
they
go,
read.
yeah, I think if you want to go deeper into your spirit, on deeper through your spiritual path, if you want to get to know you, if you want to learn how to release some of your conditioning, to look at yourself, to look at people around you, because also when you look at yourself, you find much deeper compassion and empathy for others.
Yes.
So that they take you on such a beautiful journey,
Mm.
even if you've got Hagalars. And look at our lovely Kathy. She's got 4 Thursdays.
Indeed. So yes, don't prejudge. Don't prejudge. I've got Hagalaz in my
No.
chart. Most people in my generation do.
I love my Hagalars. My Hagalars is like I have to move away because it's the south and north node, and I'm moving towards Lagos. So I'm
Look at your
moving
face,
from.
stupid largoos.
No, I found another little layer of Lagos came out the other day. Although I knew it gave me a different thing. And I
Oh, so
think,
yes.
yeah, so I think that's nice. But yeah, I just like Hagalaz. I like
I like Haggars. And, to go back to Kathy, like the biggest heart of pretty much anyone ever,
anyone
Thursdays,
ever
you know?
has got four
So,
Thursdays.
yeah, they do. They
See,
teach us so much about ourselves.
that helps you look at others as different as well. When you can see someone like Kathy, who is such a beautiful, kind-hearted, generous, loving person, if someone said to you when you were just starting out with the runes, oh, I know a lady there, she's got four Thursdays, you think, whoa.
Yeah, it's very true, isn't it? You might make quite a lot of judgments about the type of person that
Yeah,
person's going to be without recognizing that all of the, I've said this before, and I know this is a totally different topic we should cover one time. But some of the runes present their huggy faces first.
yeah,
Don't know, I'm hugging you, you're lovely, lovely. And then they bring the
yeah,
challenge energies. And some bring the challenge energies first. And then you have to move into them to find the delicious energy underneath. And Thurisaz has got so much, like literally
yeah.
passion and love
It's
incarnate within
beautiful,
Thurisaz.
beautiful rune.
Once you get through all of the other
Yeah,
emotions and protective energies as well.
yeah.
Ah, Suzanne, it has been, as ever, an absolute delight talking to you and exploring your journey with the birth runes and helping me to answer that question, like, are the birth rune spirit guides, which, I think we're
They
both
are.
pretty much convinced that they are. And we've
Yeah.
both been working with them for many, many years now. And I think fundamentally that probably is one of the key differences between Western astrology and Northern astrology. So it's not, you have to drop one and pick
Oh
up
no.
the other. They're different. They're for different purposes. So it has been a delight. Um, Please, if you are watching this and you've enjoyed it, let us know that you've enjoyed it. Share it if you have enjoyed it. Hashtag it and do all of the things. We would absolutely love that. And please feel free to leave questions and any insights or shares that you would like to. We would love to hear from you. So use the comments box. And I look forward to having another in conversation with another fabulous and magical person very, very soon. So thank you so much, Suzanne. It has been a delight.